The planned lease of the Komenda sugar factory by government has stirred controversy, with two groups in the area considering series of action to mount pressure on government to back off. The groups, concerned citizens of Komenda traditional area and concerned media for change, have expressed disappointment since Trade Minister Alhaji Hammond announced plans to lease the Komenda Sugar Factory Development Company to an Indian-based firm, West Africa Agro Limited, for between 15 to 20 years. The groups have therefore called on the President and Vice President and Cabinet Ministers to immediately cancel that agreement or face their wrath. Listen to Trade Minister review their plans during a recent working visit to the factory in the Komenda Edina Iguafo municipality of the Central Region.
Well, I've approved it. It's just that we haven't dotted the I's and crossed the T's. I think it was agreed that to be able to cross the T's, dot the I's, and eventually put the signatures, we must be clear about the sanctity of this whole edifice. There's no point signing a contract, committing them to sink in so much millions money when the stability of the system itself is not so clear. So I think the provisional feedback I'm getting from them is that they are happy with the maintenance government, MEP government is put into this place. They are quite happy. They will be able to run it. So I suspect that anytime within the next few days they will come to my office for us to put our signatures to the but for nothing at all, it won't be rotten. You know, this has cost Ghana 38 million when it should have cost us about 14, 15 million at the time. Actually I got it wrong. The figure, the 18 million I'm talking about, would have been about twice the capacity of this. There's only about 1,250 metric ton capacity, and that's what the NDC government sold to Ghana for 38 million. Okay. So we are making sure that whatever is the remnant of this survives, runs. That whole thing belongs to the government of Ghana. This is 100% ours. The asset is ours. We are leasing it as a board in place, as a company which has a board. We'll just put them in charge. But it's 100% Ghana owned. But we are leasing it. We are leasing our asset to a company which is going to work on it. I mean, use our assets, our equipment, use it, and then pay us back at the end of the day. We're not going to have shares in their products, but the company is 100% Ghana owned. So I'm thinking of giving it to them for 15, 20 years with an option of an extension or some sort of renewal after the initial lease. But the contract continues. You want to know the figures? I won't tell you now.
So that's the Minister for Trade and Industry, Alhaji Hammond, there when he was on a working visit to the Komenda Sugar Factory. Let's go on the phone line and speak to convener of the concerned citizens of Komenda traditional area, Samuel Auja. Sami, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time tonight on 505. Sami, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Can you please speak up for me? I'm sure by now it's no news for residents or people in the KEA constituency. The government is planning to lease Komenda Sugar Factory to an Indian company for 15 to 20 years. According to the Trade Minister, it is to ensure that the company or factory is back to life and will create employment. What has been the reaction of the youth?
Thank you, my sister, and good evening to your listeners. Honorable KT Hammond's contempt for the youth is matched only by his contempt for accountability. You remember the same minister called the youth lazy and coconut-headed, yet his own record is marked by the mysterious disappearance of our nation's leadership in 2001. That we will not even go there. We've heard what he said, but we think that the government, led by Honorable KT Hammond in the Trade Ministry, is trying to shortchange the people of Komenda traditional area.
How?
Because we believe that, you see, the previous government built Komenda Sugar Factory completely and left 125 acres of seedlings, which were to be transplanted. You see, each 25 acres of sugarcane seedlings will cover 2,000 acres of land. So meaning the 125 acres would have covered 10,000 acres of land. Mm-hmm. But this government in on I think July 2018 sold this sugarcane, overgrown sugarcane, to local alcoholic beverage distillers, even to Mem Cashew in the Hafu region. So if the government had plans to operationalize the factory, they would have operationalized the factory already. And more so, the whole idea was to create employment. If you look at the setup of Komenda Sugar Factory, it is to employ between 5,000 and 7,000 people. As it stands now, the government claims it is importing a raw sugar from India and Brazil, and then they refine it, meaning they are cutting about 80 to 95% of the whole value chain out of the system, meaning the intended job creation is not going to be met. The farmers who were into sugarcane plantation are now going to be left out, meaning a factory that is supposed to employ 1,000 people is now going to employ less than 50 people. Is that what we want? And more so, why would we even do that? Just look at the import substitution. If we are importing more, we are weakening the city. So why would we then spend more money to import raw sugar into the country and then we claim we are refining it? It's still the same. Who is it going to benefit in the first place? And more so, why would the government even give the company to a foreign entity without even going to parliament first? It doesn't make sense. Look at it, my sister. I think the previous government spent over $35 million to build Komenda Sugar Factory.
Mm-hmm.
Honorable KT Hammond claims the government has already invested 45 million cedis into Komenda Sugar Factory. Meanwhile, the current board of Komenda Sugar Factory is even not in agreement with what the minister said, that they are going to lease it out to a foreign entity.
Okay.
And it's surprising.
You said the current board is not in agreement.
No,
Has the board
my
told
sister,
you that they disagree? Have they told you they disagree?
My sister, I'm telling you on authority that the current board claims they have no idea as to where the 15 years lease came from. And also, the current board, about 3 years ago, contracted a loan facility from Ghana Commercial Bank, Consolidated Bank, and then Prudential Bank of over 50 million cedis.
To do
and
what?
Gave it, you remember, then Trade Minister went to Parliament and said that they were going to give it to, a strategic investor.
Yes.
The current board,
and there was a demo to that effect and the tour at the chiefs and people.
Yes. And the current board contracted that loan facility of over 50 million cedis from the 3 banks and gave it to a WATCO. That agreement also didn't go to Parliament. So meaning, my sister, this is very serious. It means the government is claiming they've invested over 95 million cedis into Komenda Sugar Factory, into a non-operational Komenda Sugar Factory. We need to interrogate this.
So, Sammy, let me find out from you. The 50 million Ghana cedis, what was it used for specifically?
That is the question we are even asking. Because we even filed a question in Parliament through our MP. What did they use that 50? Because they gave it to Watco, the company that the so-called strategic investor that came. They gave that 50 million. They claim they gave that 50 million to that strategic investor. And we all know that if a government of Ghana...
So if I'm getting what you're saying right, the board went to look for the money, went to the bank to look for the money, and they couldn't have invested it themselves, but they decided to give it to a strategic investor to bring and come and invest that same money they had gone to the bank for.
My sister, this is the case. And you can call the board. And this is... we even have the papers from Parliament. The board claimed they took the loan, but even that loan didn't go to Parliament. You know that if a wholly owned company, a Ghanaian owned company, is to engage in any agreement with a foreign entity, it has to go to Parliament first. They even didn't do that. And the minister also claimed they've invested 145 million cedis. Where did the money go? And why would they even shortchange us by trying to now refine sugar instead of planting sugar cane and using it? My sister, you see, the old variety that was being used that was being crushed to generate the sugar, it was, if you are to plant, it will take you like between 4 and 6 months. Even now, with the GM, with the new ones, it will take you 3 months. Are they trying to say that a factory that was built within less than 2 years, they've been in power for almost 8 years and they couldn't plant sugar cane? So the only option, they want the easy way out. The only option for them, for the people to know their way, is to import sugar. And that is even the surprising thing. The minister even says something that is even more serious, that the government of Ghana doesn't even have a share in the sugar that will be produced. Meaning, the company that will be taking over, that they will be leasing to, can decide the price of the sugar by themselves. They can even decide to export whatever they produce without the say of government of Ghana. And this is serious. And we are going to resist that. We are not going to allow the factory to be leased out to any foreign entity. This is a Ghanaian-owned company. It should be managed by Ghanaians, and it should be fully operational, not just opening one side of the factory and refining brown sugar. Because if you refine brown sugar, indirectly, we are creating jobs for others. Because if you are importing raw sugar from India and from Brazil, there are farmers in India and Brazil who are cultivating sugarcane. So we are rather creating the job for them. We pay them. And so the Ghanaian farmers, the sugarcane cultivators here, what are we going to do to them? Over 5,000 of them. On Tuesday, the outgrowers are going to have a press conference. Because as it stands now, they are at a loss. The government promised them that they were going to supply sugarcane to the factory. As it stands, they've cut them all out, and they are importing raw sugar, already processed sugar into the country. And this is serious. And my sister, on the 23rd of this month, we just had a meeting this afternoon. We are going to embark on a peaceful demonstration to draw the attention of the government to fully operationalize Komenda Sugar Factory. And the word is fully, not to just refine brown sugar, which doesn't benefit anybody. We want the government to go back to the old plan, plant sugarcane, crush sugarcane, get your molasses, and there are a lot of benefits. I just said, you even know, if you go back to the beginning of Komenda Sugar Factory, the old one, that was even how come we even now have Kasapeko. It was as a result of the molasses. You see, after they produced the sugar, the molasses that we call it the byproduct, is what was being sold to this company. And that was even the beginning of Kasapeko now. So today, if we are importing raw sugar into the country and refining it, that is even brown sugar. It's already processed. We are only turning the brown sugar into white sugar. What are we doing? Okay. Is that what the factory was meant to do? So we don't believe what the trade minister is saying. If for anything at all, the trade minister should consult his own board that he has put there. Because as it stands now, there is a rift between them. And we don't know who is saying the truth. The board says they are not aware. The minister is saying a different thing. So they should even resolve that. And if they have any issue, they should just go out and resolve that. They shouldn't leave Komenda Sugar Factory to any foreign entity. And we will resist it with the last drop of our blood.
Sammy, you talk about a demonstration you are planning on 25th August. Is that it?
23rd. Friday, 23rd August.
And the demonstration is supposed to ask the minister or government to hold that plan to lease Komenda Sugar Factory. Just like the trade minister said, they don't have money to operationalize the factory. So you think that this demonstration will make them rescind that decision?
Thank you so much, my sister. Now, that's a very good question. But let's look at it this way. If the government has been able to get 95 million Ghana cedis, the government claims to have invested over 95 million cedis into a non-operational Komenda Sugar Factory. The same government can get money to make Komenda Sugar Factory work. Because the question is, where did that 95 Ghana cedis go to? Where did it go to? So the money is there. They can operationalize it. Because if it's even funny, why would they wait for almost 8 good years? We've been fighting since 2016 for almost 8 good years. They've not operationalized Komenda Sugar Factory. We know they are trying to play, political gimmick about some few months, 3-4 months to election. So now they are importing raw sugar and refining it. Come on, we are not cased. So we will resist it, as I said. In fact, in our petition, there are 2 issues to be addressed. One is for the government to hold on the leasing agreement. And 2, for the government to go back to the original plan of engaging outgrowers, farmers, over 5,000 of them, and not just to import raw sugar and refine it. So these are the 2 issues that we want the government to address.
Okay. Sammy, very grateful that you joined us. Samuel Awuja is the convener of the Concerned Citizens of Komenda Traditional Area. Let's stay on the line and speak to Member of Parliament for Bole Bamboy, ranking on the Trades, Industry and Tourism Committee of Parliament. Dr. Yusuf Suleimana, good evening to you. Honorable, very grateful for your time and patience on the line.
Valentina, good evening. Valentina, I'm still working hard to get a title, doctor. I haven't gotten there yet, but hopefully, I'll get there.
Very soon, very soon.
Yes,
very soon you'll get that. So, this plan to lease Komenda Sugar Factory to the Indian company, has it come for discussion before the Committee on Trade?
Valentina, let me say good evening to our cherished listeners, and to answer your question. This is a strange message to us. The committee has not been involved at any level, and we have been struggling to get information on our own. And so I have asked a series of questions on the floor of Parliament. And at one of the instances, the Minister of Trade and Industry looked into our faces and said that the Komenda Sugar Factory has become an albatross around his neck. And so I am not surprised that he's finding a way to dispose it. Okay? The factory has not achieved its objectives that the NDC had intended to achieve. For instance, the factory was set up to ensure that we're able to create jobs, direct and indirect jobs. So farmers who could cultivate sugarcane, government was going to give them some assistance financially and technically. And so the NDC government had arranged for a loan of about $24.4 million that was meant for the cultivation of sugarcane to serve as raw material. 60% of it was going to go to outgrowers, and then 40% will go to the company itself to do what we call the backward integration, where the company will have its own plantation so that they can always rely on it to be able to produce. Now, when the NPP government came to power, they decided that they were going to do an audit of the factory. And so Pricewaterhouse Company was involved. They came out with a report. The question to ask is, why haven't they implemented the report? Today, the minister is telling us that they want to sell more or less. Because if you ask me, this is a way of selling it, because he has described it as an albatross. He wants to sell it perhaps and get whatever he's getting as a person. Okay? And then the people around that area will remain unemployed. The importation of sugar in this country will continue to be rising. What they are doing today is just importing sugar from India and other places and just refining the brown sugar into white sugar. That means that you are creating jobs for other people and not your people. And so I'm happy that the people around that area are going to resist this, and we will support them to do that. In any case, this is a foreign company that you are giving this big facility to this company to. One would have thought that at least Parliament will be brought into the known, because don't forget that it was Parliament that contracted a loan of about $35 million to establish this sugar factory from the scratch. Okay? So it's only appropriate that the minister would have even come without any invitation to come and tell Ghanaians through their representatives that this is how far we have gone with the Komenda Sugar Factory. The question I ask myself is, how are we going to pay back that facility?
But he's not selling. From what the minister said, they are leasing it to them between 15 and 20 years. And depending on what happens, they might extend it. Again, he says there's pressure. The people are saying we need jobs. And the factory is not fully operational. So bringing in these investors, people are going to get jobs.
Now, let me tell you that the ministry, through the company that is registered, signed an agreement with WAPCO. And in that agreement, WAPCO is supposed to serve as a management organization. They're supposed to provide management services at a fee. And so in that agreement, they're supposed to take home $50,000 US on monthly basis. And this does not include any consultancy that expatriates will be offering that organization. Again, they were going to take profit out of whatever a percentage of the profit that they will be making. And this was going to run for 10 years. We struggled to get this document. I asked the minister to provide us this document. We didn't get it. I had to go my own way to get the document. So what has happened to that agreement? We need to know. And now he's talking about
how much was Ghana going to make from that agreement?
Can you take it again?
I'm asking how much the country was going to make out of that agreement.
There's nothing out there like that. All we have seen in the agreement is that Ghana will be paying $50,000 US on a monthly basis to the company.
From what?
And that if they made.
From what are we going to pay that amount of money?
That is the question. And so for the few months that they have been managing the company, we don't know where the ministry is getting money to pay them, because they signed this agreement somewhere 2022. If I remember very well, 21st of July 2022. That was when this agreement was signed. And if it was signed and you kept giving them this $50,000 per month, today we even need to know how much you are giving them so far. Because the information I picked is that the Komenda Sugar Factory Company Limited even owes the WAPCO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are accumulating debt, the chances are that you want to leave it to them and ultimately sell it to them. And that is what the people are resisting. And we agree with them. Why will you wait? When the report was issued by Pricewaterhouse report several years down the line, you didn't do anything. Now we are left with some few months to go into election. You are going back to deceive the people. The president was there to deceive them. The Minister of Trade, Alan Tremente, former minister, was there to deceive them. Honorable Kojem Kuma was there to deceive them. And this is the fourth minister who has also gone to deceive them. What is their crime?
This agreement, there are a lot of questions that need answers to. Even the WAPCO agreement, as well as this plans by the government to give or lease this company to West Africa Agro Limited. You have oversight. Your committee has oversight. How are we going to get answers? Because I'm very interested in how we are getting money to pay WAPCO $50,000 every month.
Yeah, so that is where we think that the minister, who is paid by the taxpayers' money, owe some explanation. And so we expect him within the shortest possible time to tell Ghanaians or to give answers to these issues that we are raising. Because you cannot run the ministry and by extension the Komenda Sugar Factory as if it's your private business. We think that he needs to answer questions. And that is why we are in this discussion, that is why we are in this conversation, in order that we compel the minister, who is a public servant, to come out and tell us what exactly is happening when we talk about the Komenda Sugar Factory.
So in compelling the minister means you're going to summon him to come or what?
Yeah, so as I speak to you, I'm speaking with leadership of the minority, and I've spoken with the leader, the minority leader, and I'm consulting other leaders of the minority side for a decision to be taken. If we have to fully organize a press conference and put to him some specific issues to come and respond to, or if we have to summon him before Parliament, we have to do that.
Well, you made mention of Kojo Nkrumah being the third minister to go to Komenda and deceive the people. He said the delay in operationalization of Komenda Sugar Factory is as a result of the minority, because you seem to be blocking every potential investor that expresses interest in the factory.
Yeah, so that was a lie. It was a lie to the extent that I said to you, I've been asking ministers questions about the Komenda Sugar Factory. And so at a point, the then Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Tremente, said the first company that they had gone into what they call a strategic arrangement with failed them because of COVID. Was it the fault of the minority that company couldn't come to fulfill its part of the contract? Now, he was specific, and he said to us that we delayed the passage of some tax exemptions, and that was why the company couldn't come on, couldn't take off. The question I asked them in one of our business statement discussion was for him to point to me. They had brought about 22 companies seeking tax exemptions. I asked him to point to me which of the companies I was going to work for Komenda Sugar Factory. And as I speak to you, he's here to respond. So it was a lie.
Okay. Honorable, we are grateful for your time. We'll see how things pan out in the coming days. But